No, I can't calm down. Bitch, I'm too turned up.
The worst time period to travel to.
And that a mad scientist has created a time machine and is forcing you to pick a random period to travel to during the Mesozoic. A lot of your possible options would definitely lead to an unfortunate ending. But whatever you do, you really should not pick 150 million years ago.
Wow.
As this
That's
was
the
an age where
dinosaurs.
instant death was around nearly every corner. Dinosaurs, per usual for the Mesozoic, ruled on land at the time. But even for dinosaur standards, the ones that existed back then were especially terrifying, with certain paleontologists considering this time period to be a golden age for supersized sauropods and meat-loving theropods. Unfortunately, even if you could snap your fingers and make the dinosaurs go away, 150 million years ago would still be a lot of nope, with the land, oceans, and skies harboring a lot of secrets that were, let's just say, unfriendly to life. Welcome to the late Jurassic. During this time, not even a map would do you much good, as Earth's landmasses were fairly unrecognizable compared to current versions, with North America arguably being the most like its current self, having at least maintained a similar shape. Familiarity ends here though, as to the south lays a giant mass of merged continents that form together what some consider to have been the last supercontinent, Gondwana. This ancient landmass was composed of South America, the Arabian
What do
Peninsula,
you mean the last
India,
supercontinent?
Antarctica, and Australia.
What the fuck this nigga just say? The last supercontinent.
America, supercontinent.
This is what you talking about? Gondwana?
Gondwana.
Gondwana.
This ancient landmass was composed of South America, the Arabian Peninsula, India, Antarctica, and Australia, creating the largest continent of the late Jurassic, which covered almost 1/6 of the Earth's entire surface, and from space would have looked like a mega blob of land. Surprisingly, not even Gondwana was the most foreign-looking continent at the time, with that title going to Laurasia, a giant continent within its own right that was made up of present-day Europe, Greenland, and parts of Asia. It, unlike the rest of the Earth, was absolutely covered by expansive waters that split and isolated much of the land, resulting in the countries we know of today being smaller and composed of numerous islands. Europe in particular was an island paradise that bore nearly
what was the update that like made like all like the animals just smaller? You know what I'm saying? Cause like if there's like they're really dinosaurs, right? Like what was the like, bro? The biggest animals are like sea animals, bro. Whales, sharks. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. Giraffes, like bro. There's no like. It'd be crazy if it's just T-Rexes running around though. So it might be good.
resemblance to the present. Its location was quite different too, being closer to North America than it is today. Meanwhile, China was right next to Iran and Turkey, yet extremely far away from India. Evidently, the geography was rather confusing, to say the least. Thankfully, however, late Jurassic oceanography wasn't, since only two major bodies of water existed, the Pacific Ocean and the Tethys Ocean. The Tethys was already an ancient ocean at the time, having existed for over 100 million years. It covered the eastern hemisphere and had recently experienced significant tectonic activity, which had raised it up, resulting in the higher sea levels that submerged large parts of Laurasia. Despite it getting this tectonic boost, it was still smaller than the younger, yet still 50 million year old, Pacific Ocean, which now dominated the entire western hemisphere and would continue to expand as time passed. The late Jurassic also saw the emergence of yet another body of water we all know of, the Atlantic Ocean. Although at the time it resembled a sea more than anything else, being nearly entirely surrounded by land. The Atlantic's temperatures were also unlike they are today, being remarkably warmer. And this was actually a trend seen worldwide, with seawater averaging 32.1 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, making it 25% hotter than the current average. Even in the deepest parts of the Pacific, temperatures were still considerably warmer, hovering around 17 degrees Celsius or 63 degrees Fahrenheit, akin to tap water. This heightened temperature is often attributed to the increased tectonic activity of the time, which would have led to very active volcanoes, thus spewing massive amounts of CO2 into the water. Currently, paleontologists are actually aware of a few of these now extinct volcanoes, one of which is Earth's largest known volcano, Tamu Massif. This absolute unit is located 1,600 kilometers or
Unit.
990 miles east of Japan and covers more seafloor than the state of California, while standing almost twice as tall as Mount St. Helens. During its active life, Tamu Massif would have made the oceans more acidic and heated up the atmosphere, leading to warmer conditions on land as well. In fact, 150 million years ago was most likely just about
You know what's
the
funny?
warmest period.
I seen a theory that like the dinosaurs, like they wouldn't look like this. They would have fur, like feathers and shit. They would just have hella feathers instead of like all that scales and shit.
In the entire Jurassic, with an average daily temperature of 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly 15% warmer than today. With this heat, Earth was experiencing climatic conditions that it hadn't for nearly 50 million years, with both the northern and southern hemisphere witnessing significant amounts of dry biomes, including deserts and savannas, which could be quite harsh on animals, considering that most also had distinct dry seasons, where severe droughts were not unheard of. Towards the equator, things got a little less cutthroat, as drier ecosystems gave way to lush expansive tropical forests that covered the vast majority of North Africa. However, the most toned-down conditions were not found there either, rather near and within the polar regions, since back then they were not brutally cold tundras, but rather temperate biomes similar to modern-day Central Europe. The polar regions were so much warmer back then that they didn't even have ice sheets or glaciers, and as a result, life was absolutely plentiful. And even in the harsher arid climates closer to the equator, life still found a way.
Wait, how does that make sense though? How can a polar region be so warm that it's like a like kind of European climate? Like it's not like warm as shit, but it's not like freezing. Cause like isn't that like the polar? I don't this Check.
Snow formations actually hailing from these brutal areas. Dinosaurs in particular thrived, and were enjoying a level of diversification never yet seen. Of all the groups lumbering around, theropods, sauropods, neornithischians, and armored dinosaurs were the most established, with multiple species from each group often being found within a single ecosystem, resulting in a chaoticness rarely seen.
You know what I thought about? I thought about how like animals communicate. I'm like, yo, what if like there's like a gene in every animal's brain that like allows them to communicate with each other and shit. Like how we would communicate like like regularly and shit. Humans. It's like that thing in your brain will be just tuned to like what like a certain animal. Like this nigga dinosaur, it's just tuned in a certain way to communicate with this nigga. He's like, damn, I'm gonna eat you type shit.
During the Mesozoic. This is perhaps best demonstrated by the Morrison Formation, which was an expansive North American biosphere that spanned across 13 states and was composed of arid savannas, forests, and shrubland. So far, over 40 dinosaurs are known to have resided there, including at least 10 different theropods, nearly all of which were big enough to hunt humans.
So that's how big they is. Oh, I mean, I guess it's leaning forward though. So you feel me? So basically, imagine there was animals on this planet that like was as tall as like your shoulder, but like their tail reached your shoulder, right? And then like they just had a big ass lizard head.
Human-sized animals. Yet, unlike the Cretaceous, the Morrison's most dominant carnivores.
Oh my god, you seen that Invincible episode where this nigga, you feel me? I guess it's not a spoiler, bro. It's a funny movie. You feel me? So this nigga Mark, right? He's in a place where it's like, yo, there's talking dinosaurs, and he's like, damn. What if dinosaurs evolved to like be able to talk? You know what I'm saying? Like the thing I'm saying, like their brain just got tuned in a way to be able to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Were not tyrannosaurs, who had yet to evolve. Rather, Allosauridae. The most abundant of them all was the Allosaurus, typically dubbed the Lion of the Jurassic thanks to its striking appearance. It was a nearly unstoppable predator who sported razor-sharp teeth and a blood-inducing slashing bite that allowed it to hunt a wide range of herbivores. Studies have suggested that it may have even hunted in packs as well. But whatever the case, it undeniably dominated the lands, accounting for 75% of all carnivore remains. With such numbers, you'd expect it to be a small yet plentiful creature. But no, Allosaurus was a giant by current standards, with adults weighing an average of 1.7 tons and measuring 8.5 meters or 28 feet in length. This comfortably made it one of the biggest predators around. But remarkably, even it wasn't the biggest terrestrial predator on Earth, with that title going to the Saurophaganax, which happened to live in North America as well. This, like the Allosaurus, was a member of the Allosauridae family and could weigh up to 5 tons, equivalent to nearly 4 adult
10
giraffes.
meters.
In addition to
The founding titan is bigger than that. What?
classification, it was similar to the Allosaurus in many ways.
Oh my god! Now imagine, right? Now imagine, right? Say the founding T-Rex was like, yo, you feel me? It absorbed someone. Then he became the founding source. Started making titans and titansauruses and shit. Niggas are, you know what I'm saying, biting this shit. They turn into T-Rexes and shit. What?
Both possessing robust arms, sharp claws, serrated teeth, and distinct crests.
So why are they evolved to be like that?
Vertebrae and obviously body size. Alongside these two, there were still more carnivores who called the Morrison Formation home, with the most well-known ones including the Ceratosaurus, Torvosaurus, and the mysterious Edmarca rex. Both of the latter were Megalosauridae, and were also again gigantic, being more comparable to the Saurophaganax than other carnivores, with large specimens of Torvosaurus weighing around 4 tons, while the Edmarca rex could have weighed just as much as the Saurophaganax. On the other hand, Ceratosaurus, while ferocious, was a large step down from the giant carnivores.
I smacked the shit out of a Ceratosaurus, nigga. What do you mean that shit the same height as me? Nigga, that shit, nigga, that shit come up to me, bro. That shit come up to me. A Ceratosaurus come up to me, nigga. I'm like, swear, smacking that shit, nigga. Nigga gave me puppy eyes. Oh, what?
Mentioned, with large adults being similar in weight to polar bears, so obviously still not small by any means.
What? That's a bear. Fuck up. What? That's basically a bear.
Regardless, many still consider it to be the underdog of the Jurassic, overlooking its agility and deadly bite that made it a highly successful predator.
Oh.
And most also forget that giant size was the exception, not the rule, since most Morrison predators were medium-sized like the Ceratosaurus or even smaller. For example, troodontids and early primitive relatives of tyrannosaurids made up the bulk of these smaller carnivores, who seldomly stood above a human's waist in stature. This may make you wonder how such small carnivores stood a chance in an ecosystem ruled by behemoths. And the answer is simple: niching. Instead of contesting and competing with each other, predators would just occupy different ecological niches, which is exemplified by Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus.
Yo, it's crazy how ain't nothing new under the sun. You see how these niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like, they said, yo, look, bro, we can't be beefing with everybody. So let's find all our own niches and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna eat these niggas, y'all eat those niggas. We stay over here, y'all stay over there. We eat those niggas, you like these niggas, eat these niggas, yeah, these niggas, those get eaten by those niggas. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. And today it's like, yo, today there's hella niches.
Water, whereas the Allosaurus preferred open terrestrial spaces. This helped keep the peace in a theropod-rich environment, but peace was not always possible, as North America and much of the Earth were subjected to severe droughts that drove nearly all to violence, with fossilized remains indicating extreme amounts of cannibalism, theropod-on-theropod violence, and scavenging. It was during these moments that being smaller was an advantage, because it meant much less calories were needed to survive. And this of course applied to small herbivores as well, which were mainly made up of Neornithischians. More than 5 kinds are known from 150.
Nigga, they made dinosaurs like these? That shit not even up to my kneecap. What?
million years ago, but a couple of the more common ones would have been the cougar
No, but that shit should not be fucking tight, bro.
sized Dryosaurus and the larger Camptosaurus that weighed about half a ton. Despite their size differences, both had similar diets composed of ground level plants, and the two also tragically shared a lack of defenses, with speed being their only real plan A, plan B, and plan C for that matter. This problem, however, was not at all common for other herbivores, as many became ruthless themselves in order to ward off theropods.
What the fuck? This thing got horns at its tail? That's kind of calm. Yo. What? Look at them niggas eating the organs and shit.
Like the iconic Stegosaurus, who happened to also be the largest non-sauropod you could find, with exceptional adults reaching 9 meters or 30 feet in length and weighing 5.5 tons. Not to mention, it also had a thagomizer, which while may sound funny, would have felt terrible for potential predators, as this was the large bony spikes attached to the end of its tail, turning it into a potent weapon individuals could use to pierce the bone of attacking carnivores, as evidenced in fossils by one unlucky Allosaurus. And Stegosaurus wasn't the only herbivore with a good theropod deterrent in these lands, as fresh on the scene was Murapelta, one of the oldest known ankylosaurs. It was considerably smaller than its later relatives, with adults only weighing 562 kilograms or 1,239 pounds. Yet, it did have the trademark heavy armor that made ankylosaurs famous, with osteoderms spreading across the entirety of its upper body.
I want to say like a tortoise.
These osteoderms varied in size,
like
and
a tortoise mixed with like
edges,
a
particularly when located near vulnerable spots.
Sadly,
Honey
though,
badger. Armor was no thagomizer.
Look at that shit.
And numerous remains of this ankylosaur were found with signs of predation by theropods. Such a fate presumably extended to other existing armored dinosaurs as well, which included another ankylosaur, the Gargoylosaurus, and the stegosaurid Alcovosaurus. At this point, you may be tired of hearing about so many dinosaurs, but to really drive home the fact that this was one of their golden ages, you cannot forget about the most abundant dinosaurs of them all, sauropods. In fact, 150 million years ago may have been the apex period for this group, as they were typically the most common dinosaurs about, with Camarasaurus holding the title of the most abundant animal in the Western Hemisphere.
Whoa. Nigga, that's like 23 meters? You know, if Aaron really teed up with him, bro, I'm gonna lie, you struggle.
But it was by millions alone, and a mix of different sauropod families ran rampant, with the two key players being the Diplodocids and the Macronarians. Both of these families were powerhouses with multiple iconic members, some of them including household names like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Supersaurus, Barosaurus, Brontosaurus, Apatosaurus, and the honorable mention Marapunosaurus, which belonged to neither family but was absolutely massive. And in reality, every sauropod alive then, including those unmentioned, were pretty massive, with the smallest weighing 13 tons while the largest sat around 70 tons. Naturally, with such crazy fauna, many have been amazed by the Morrison since its discovery. And yet incredibly, the Morrison wasn't exactly special, as much of the world had similar ecosystems where the same groups of dinosaurs dominated. And in some places, even the exact same dinosaurs could be found.
Damn, Chad, y'all think we could go extinct like the dinosaurs, bro? Like, you feel me? Cause how did anything go? There's a lot of theories for why they go extinct, like volcanoes, meteors, plates. You know what I'm saying? All that shit. I'm just like, bro. Like, I feel like humans will find a way.
For instance, if you try to escape the Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, or Torvosaurus by fleeing to Europe, you'd still run into them. While on the flip side, you could also experience some absolutely great sauropod sightseeing in Gondwana, where evidence of Brachiosaurus, Barosaurus, and Camarasaurus were found. And even dinosaurs unique to other landmasses still tended to follow the same trends seen in the Morrison, with many having counterparts across the globe. For example, Tanzania had the titanic Giraffatitan, which played a similar ecological role as Brachiosaurus. Additionally, Tanzania also saw the legs of Kentrosaurus, the stegosaurian counterpart and close relative of Stegosaurus. In Europe, the exact situation is again seen, with sauropods like the Oceanotitan and stegosaurs like the Centrurus peppering the land. Where Gondwana and Europe differed, however, was that they had a new kind of theropod family not yet seen in North America or anywhere else for that matter, and that is the Carcharodontosauridae, which were partially characterized by high neural spines, proportionally long arms, and long narrow skulls. The oldest and first of them to evolve was the Veterupristosaurus, which resided in Tanzania and weighed up to 1.65 tons, and likely hunted a mix of stegosaurs and juvenile sauropods.
1.65
Strangely, in
tons.
China, which wasn't far away from Europe, Carcharodontosauridae weren't found, although they had their very own unique apex predator, the Yangchuanosaurus. Following the trend, this was a monstrous theropod that was nearly as long as the largest Torvosaurus and weighed up to 3.4 tons, making it the largest predator in all of Asia. From a distance, you may mistake it for a unit of an Allosaurus, since the two were closely related and shared many similar features, but they were not cut from the same cloth, as Yangchuanosaurus was not an Allosauridae member, rather a Metriacanthosaurid, which in Greek means moderately spined lizards, so it's not surprising that this group's defining trait was, well, moderately sized spines. Beyond the uniqueness of Yangchuanosaurus, Asia was again much like the rest of the world, with the four main groups reigning supreme and bearing multiple species. Some of the most well-known that lived at the time included Mamenchisaurus, Yingxianosaurus, Dinosaurs, and Leishanosaurus. And it wasn't just the dinosaurs that would have made your eyes widen, as the late Jurassic accommodated a wide range of non-dinosaurs too, with the most dominant being crocodiliforms. Like dinosaurs, they came in a variety of sizes. And
Crocodiles really are like the last of the dinosaurs. That's crazy. Think about it. Where are they?
inhabited a diverse range of habitats, but were usually on the smaller side comparatively. Most, like the gator-sized Amphicaudalis, were semi-aquatic, hunting down fish, amphibians, and turtles that dwelled near them. But a few were actually fully terrestrial and could appear fairly nightmarish, as seen with Halopus, who had slender, skinny limbs, giving it an odd, unsettling.
I ain't gonna lie, I seen how them Florida niggas handle crocodiles, bro. I like gators. Gators. Alligator cock. They basically the same shit though. Bro, I seen how they handle them, bro. Like, I don't know, bro. They kinda seem like they kinda do seem pussy in a sense. But they just be outside. Shit.
Settling appearance. Although you wouldn't have to worry, because Halopus was a tiny creature that rarely grew taller than a boot, and mostly stuck to insects and other small prey. The other terrestrial crocs were quite small too, likely a result of living in the shadow of dinosaurs. And another group that ran into this size problem as well was our very own ancestors, the mammaliaforms. By now they'd been around for over 100 million years, and were well adapted for a mix of lifestyles.
Our very own ancestors. Nigga, this is a rat. Am I mistaken? Nigga, so see this is my thing with evolution. Okay, if we evolve from something like this that looks like a rat, what is the rat today gonna evolve into? You feel what I'm saying? Like, what's the in between from the rat before and rat now to the rat in the future? I know it takes a long time, so that means there has to be like in between. That's
With older fossils showing that some had developed the ability to glide, climb trees, and be semi-aquatic. Their diets were also quite versatile, with some specializing in plants, while others nibbled on meat or dabbled in both areas, as seen with the omnivorous Guimarododon, who may even have scavenged on dinosaurs. Yet, it was still like other mammaliaforms, which is to say, small, as on average these guys were no bigger than a shrew, making them hard to notice among so many titans. Nonetheless, there was a group that wasn't exactly giant but were hard to miss, and these were the pterosaurs. The pterosaurs had established control of the skies roughly 80 million years prior to this point and flew mostly unchallenged. Interestingly though, they weren't very populous as only a few remains from the time are known, yet their bones were geologically widespread, indicating a successful conquest across a significant portion of Earth. Typically, late Jurassic pterosaurs seem to have preferred marine and shoreline habitats where they could fill their stomachs with fish, insects, shellfish, and carrion. It's also been hypothesized that the largest pterosaurs could have actively hunted certain terrestrial creatures, with the biggest pterosaur being Lucignathus. This pterosaur lived in Europe and was a leviathan compared to coexisting relatives, with an estimated wingspan of 3.6 meters or 12 feet, which along with sharp straight teeth could have enabled it to hunt other pterosaurs considering that most were less than half its size. And as king of flyers, the Lucignathus didn't have much to worry about. Although it wasn't alone, as along with pterosaurs, bird-like dinosaurs had managed to take flight as well. In that day and age, they were still a novelty and very rare, with only one kind being known from that specific era, the Archaeopteryx. This dinosaur is extremely monumental to paleontology, as it is the earliest known capable of powered flight. There are other contenders for this title too, who date back to 165 million years ago, but thus far, many paleontologists argue on the classification of these older animals. The Archaeopteryx would have used its flying abilities to hunt small prey, including reptiles and insects, and escape predators, as it was a tiny fellow who was similar in size to a modern-day magpie. With so much life around you and above you, you probably won't be surprised to know that the waters were home to many as well, with the major difference being that while a lot of creatures on land were wondrous, the oceans and seas were namely home to pure nightmares, notably the plesiosaurs. These were marine reptiles that were distinguished by flat bodies, short tails, 4 flippers, and had a cosmopolitan distribution, meaning they could be found worldwide. They greatly varied in size, and many were apex predators, with the most terrifying of the bunch being the pliosaur family. While we commonly imagine plesiosaurs with long narrow necks, pliosaurs were the ones that had short necks and massive skulls, filled with sharp, conical teeth which allowed them to hunt down medium and large-sized prey. You've probably heard of the most famous one, the Liopleurodon, but it had actually been dead for 5 million years at the time. Not to worry though, as the late Jurassic found an even bigger, more terrifying replacement, the Pliosaurus. Adults of this pliosaur were among the largest ever recorded, reaching up to 10 meters or 33 feet in length and weighed 5 tons. With their size, they easily killed whatever they could catch, including what we consider the jaws of the modern oceans, sharks. And now, this isn't to say that sharks were chumps back then. Yet, they were no pliosaur and didn't come close in size. But they still would have been a problem for more toned down animals, including fish, and another famous staple of Mesozoic oceans, the ichthyosaurs. While ichthyosaurs had been the true giants for millions of years during the Triassic and early Jurassic, they had experienced a size decline in these days, mainly due to competition with the plesiosaurs. However, this battle definitely wasn't one-sided, as shallow seas and open oceans still had plenty of different ichthyosaur species that filled different niches and could be up to 7 meters or 23 feet long, which is crazy to think about when considering that Triassic ichthyosaurs were sometimes almost 4 times bigger,
Whoa.
making them absolutely horrifying to say the least.
How do we know that these things still aren't here? Because like we barely know how many it's in the ocean. I know they found a megalodon in the ocean and shit. You know what I'm saying? Nah, that shit look crazy though.
Don't panic though, as this time period had one more trick up its sleeve to give you nightmares, and that is the Thalattosuchians, commonly nicknamed the marine crocodiles. In reality, they weren't really true crocodiles, rather primitive distant relatives, though they did superficially resemble modern crocs, with the biggest difference coming from their limbs and tails, which in certain members had evolved into flippers to provide locomotion. Like many other animals, these marine crocs were found globally and in some locations were apex predators. They had compressed and serrated teeth that allowed them to shear chunks of flesh off prey, which consisted of fish, ichthyosaurs, small plesiosaurs, and turtles. The 2 largest living members, Dacosaurus and Machimosaurus, may have hunted large animals too. And coincidentally, Machimosaurus was actually the largest marine croc we know of, with adults being equal to the largest ichthyosaurs in length, and giving potential time travelers just one more reason to avoid Earth 150 million years ago.
In conclusion, chat, I feel like I won't lie, chat. I feel like I do pretty good in the Jurassic period, you know, cause my only comp really is the T-Rexes. But you see how they say, you know what I'm saying, that like they wasn't all in the same areas. So I'ma just have my prey. You feel me? Get. You feel me? My meals from like, bro. Those niggas
They
like
made up a
as
meal.
little as this shit, bro. Nigga, what? These niggas are getting hunted down, bro. Come on now.